finally here. We finally have an SS Commodore, and today we are going to be reviewing this beast of a car and trying to figure out why so many people love it and so many people absolutely despise it. So the Holden Commodore, this is kind of Australia's bread and butter when it comes to cars. They've been making them for years and years and years, and this one particularly is the VE Series 1 with the L98, so it's got a 6-litre V8 under the hood, mated to a 5-speed manual. In my opinion, the best option you can get in terms of engine transmission combinations. Now, we are just talking about Holdens, we're not talking about HSVs. That's a whole nother world of performance, and hopefully we'll be getting there eventually because HSV makes some amazing cars. But today, the Holden Commodore SS. I'm not gonna lie, I have probably hated these cars for a very long time, and it wasn't until starting the YouTube channel where we were starting to go through a few cars that I would never personally own, where I kind of realized, hey, if you break the Commodore down into its bare bones, what does it offer you? It's actually a pretty amazing platform. 6-litre V8 right off the bat. How many cars come out today with such a big V8? Next to none. The only options really are your high-end Mercedes, BMWs, your C63s, that kind of thing. And even they're moving to smaller engines, turbochargers and hybrids. BMWs, and then really it's just your McLarens, Ferraris, that kind of thing. Like, you do have Mustang coming out with the Coyote V8. So we are kind of seeing glimpses of the V8 coming back, but it is a dying breed. These V8s soon won't be any longer, which is kind of sad. Let's wait for these guys here. And probably the biggest reason that I knocked these cars was because I was a young kid, and all I remember hearing about V8s was what my dad told me. And I was like, yeah, cool V8s, I know more, I know better, and I'm going to stick with my little turbocharged 4-cylinder. I wish I listened to him, because the amount of power you get so effortlessly is amazing. Now, it does come with its downsides. For example, that little blip of the throttle just cost me $20. You can watch the fuel gauge go down. No, that's not the temp gauge, that is the fuel gauge. These things drink so much fuel that you almost need a petrol tanker running along beside you or behind you, because yeah, you'll be taking quite a few pit stops to the fuel station, gas station, whatever you call it. Alright, so we're on a private road now, and we're just going to roll into the power and see what she's got. Does weigh a bit, so it does take a little bit to get this car up and moving. Having said that, it's very similar to the 350Z that we reviewed. The power is definitely there, you just need to work for it, and you need to get it up into that high rev range. Anywhere from about 3,500 to 4,000 RPM, you'll really start to feel the torque start to pull this car along. And the sound. I think this car currently has got extractors and a partially modified exhaust. I think it's hit the sweet spot. It is unreal. The power delivery, the sound. I can see why so many people love V8s. They sound good. The power's there right out of the box. You can simply head down to Lee Spare Parts, pick up a freaking supercharger, boom, 600-700 horsepower to the wheels with a manual transmission. Like, this thing is crazy good. I can definitely see the appeal as to why the handling. How does it handle the twisty turnies? Immediately, as you come into a corner, you can feel it is carrying a bit of weight. This is quite a heavy boy, but you do have the power to back it up. It's surprisingly not as bad as I would thought it would have been. We've got a nice little chicane coming up here, so we'll see how it responds to that. But first impressions are, I thought it was going to be worse, to be honest. It's definitely better than I thought. Here we go. Turns in nicely. Confidence is spraying. Bit of downhill braking into the chicane. Bit of tie rub. Bit more tie rub. It's definitely like a boat. I think this is probably where the 350Z would have it in and over this. Is it just the suspension's just that little bit more firmer. This is more of a kind of cruiser, your Grand Tourer kind of car. So it's got more of that loftier suspension. So as soon as you chuck it into a corner, you are going to get a little bit of body roll, as we found out with our aftermarket wheels and tires on the back there. But surprisingly, I mean, it can get the back out if you want it to and when it wants to. But if you wanted to keep it planted, as long as you got a good set of tires, it's actually not too bad. You just need to compensate for that body roll and yeah, have a bit of fun. As stability control jumps in.
So now onto the exterior of this SS Commodore we have here. Now, I used to not be the biggest fan of the looks, and I think Australia's kind of torn between 50-50. Some people love it, some people really hate it. Now, I used to be in that, didn't really like it. After having this and actually, really going over all the looks and it's actually got some really nice features, and I'm starting to like it more the more we've owned this one. Things like the little pinstripe. That's really cool. I think it's a kind of a dying thing with cars nowadays. The nice racing stripes, it looks really nice on this, I reckon. This also has really flared arches on the front and the rear. Gives it a real nice kind of sporty feel. The hood is slightly raised in the middle, which kind of hints towards that muscle car kind of, V8 kind of looks there, which I think is awesome. I really like that as well. But yeah, it's just like, it has a really nice, tough look, which I'm really starting to appreciate and really, like. Moving to the back of this car exterior, the spoiler is really nice. It's really long, really big, quite wide. You could eat at least, the thickness is at least like 2 Vegemite sandwiches wide, and I actually really like it. It's not too high. It's just enough where it's like it hints the sportiness, but obviously not going crazy Civic Racer look or anything like that crazy. One thing I am kind of noticing though is, besides these features, the spoiler, the flared guards, the bonnet, the pinstripe, that kind of thing, it's quite standard. Like it's a very kind of general, basic sedan look to it. Everything else besides these features, which I think is partly because obviously that it's just a sedan. It's meant to be a family sedan. But it's you take your baby and your family in the car to the shops as well. So it's not meant to be a crazy hectic 2-door coupe fast thing. So I understand it's meant to be somewhat standard, and they've just added these nice features to it. But then again, it's almost lacking. Like, I just want a little bit more from it. That's what I'm kind of finding. But in all honesty, I think overall though, I do like it. It's really grown on me. So yeah, I wouldn't. If you asked me this a while ago, say a couple of years ago, or even before owning this, I'd probably have a very different opinion. But yeah, it's definitely grown.
Now onto the interior of this SS Commodore. Before I go into it, the one we've got here is quite used. So just ignore some of the shittiness, like the missing button there, the wear and tear on everything. But again, it's like a 15-year-old car. And honestly, the design aspect of everything is actually held up quite well, I think. And especially for that kind of era where everything was kind of weird in that kind of changing phase and everything was very plasticky, but it looked cheap and I don't know. Which one thing I think is really nice what they've done here is there is plastics everywhere, but it's all black. It's all been blacked out. And one thing is my pet peeve is when there's heaps of plastic and it's all that silver and it just feels cheap. Whereas even just having it just blacked out, it could be the same plastic. It just makes it feel more homey, more luxury, not as cheap, if you will. Now, onto the kind of the driving side of this car. The steering wheel, it's not terrible, but it is very big. It's like you're steering a boat. It's very, very big, which I don't really like. In terms of the style of it, it's quite basic. I don't love it, I don't hate it. It's just very kind of regular. Now, what I do like is the gauges. Now, the gauges are really nice. They've got this kind of sporty kind of look to it a little bit. It's got the silver, red kind of dials. Yeah, it's quite nice. I do like the gauges and what they've done there. Coming in with the center console now, straight away, this is the worst handbrake design. I understand. If I put this down here, it kind of fits in nice with the center console, but I just don't like that. I'd rather honestly just your regular handbrake there. So that I don't like that. Coming into the center console here, it's got a little screen here, which is quite nice. The button's there. It's all quite regular. Everything kind of doesn't feel too bad. Doesn't feel too cheap. So I mean, I don't have much more to say there. The gear shifter, I mean, it's all right. It's quite, again, standard. Nothing crazy, nothing special. It's not too sporty, which it would have been nice to have a nice sporty shifter to let you know you're driving a V8, car. Now, another thing that I don't like about this, and I think some of the BMWs, the older BMWs, I think my E46 had it as well, is the window dials and all that is on the center console. It's not on the doors, which is really annoying when you've driven lots of other cars where all the window kind of switches are always on the door. It's just second nature, always to go to the door to wind up or down your windows, and having it in the middle is just, I don't know. I see they wanted to be different, but I don't like it. I'd rather it just on the door there. It's got some cup holders there, which is nice. Center console's nice, big, deep. You can fit a few things in there, which is nice. And the door box there is quite large, you can fit a fair bit in there as well. Door cards are quite nice. Look at the speakers, they're not, I guess, too crazy. It's like a nice leather there. The seats in this SS has got nice red seats with a little embossed SS logo on it. That's really cool. These, they've kind of faded over time. I'm not sure if it's a common thing, but yeah, these are faded. They've got some tears in them a little bit. But I can imagine from new, they were really nice, and yeah, I quite like them. The rear seats are the same. They're kind of nice red as well. And the space in the back is pretty good as well. So it's, I mean, again, it's very kind of your basic sedan, has your basic features and stuff like that. But I think I just like the blacked out look of all the dash and everything there, and the red seats. Kind of is just a nice accent there. You've got your little, oh wow, that's very tough as spring on that one there. You can fit your glasses up there, which I mean, I've never really had to use. You just use standard features pretty much. But yeah, the interior is not too bad. I think it's definitely on the better side for the period that this came out in, which I do like.
So, the SS Commodore. Morgan, what are your thoughts?
It pains me to say this, but I actually it's changing on the way I feel it. I kind of like it now.
See, the hard fact for me is that, I mean, you guys don't currently know, but I own a similar vehicle to this kind of thing. It's a saloon and it's got power. That's all I'll say. It will be coming out later, but so I'm just keep comparing it to that, and I'm thinking, all right, so it's a sedan and it's got a bit of power. it's just not there comfort-wise.
I think one thing that really makes me want to love it, I've always wanted a red, because red's sporty, and the racing stripes. Like, it's almost at this point where I don't even care what it is.
Like, power-wise
nice.
is good. A little too linear for me. I like a little bit of torque and but the handling, yeah, it feels like a boat. It definitely rolls. Yeah. But I can definitely see why people like it.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's for me.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think in saying it though, would I actually buy it myself? I don't think so.
No.
I just like kind of owning it.
The thing that doesn't scare me though is those engines. The engines are solid. If you're looking for a car and you like, you can get past the looks, you think it looks good and the interior is nice and you haven't experienced a Mercedes, Porsche or the other one I've got, then I'd say go for it. Because in terms of reliability, like this thing's going to keep going and going.
Yeah, well I think a lot of the cars we've owned as well, being obviously we've only just bought them, we're not really too sure on how it was previously.
Yeah.
I'm always a little skeptical on the engine, so I don't want to I don't want to floor it. I don't want to like beat on it or anything like that. Already owning this, I'm like happy to just.
Yeah, Morgan's dropped a few skids in his pants. But yeah, so I can definitely see why people like it. I don't think it takes the cake for number one.
No.
I still think MPS and 350Z beat it.
I think, in all honesty, it's probably, I can't remember the order, but it's about mid-tier. Maybe on the high.
I think 6 MPS.
I
think, yes, because I think it's probably as fast as this. It's all-wheel drive, leather interior, nice dash, Bluetooth stereo.
Yeah.
Cheaper on Rego because it's only a 4-cylinder. I think the 6 MPS is better.
I actually think that's a good point. I think I'm with you on that one.
And it's similar size.
Yeah.
The only thing that doesn't have it going for the 6 MPS is this does look more aggressive and nicer, and this is probably more reliable.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd probably be just under the 6 MPS, definitely above the Audi, definitely above the Lexus.
Oh yeah.
Definitely above the Swift.
Yeah.
What else do we have? Oh, WRX. I think it's above the WRX.
I don't know, it's a close one for me. I really like, the WRX for me was like a love-hate relationship. I really liked it, but then again, in other ways I didn't.
Yeah. Golf. Is it better than the Golf? I think hands down the Golf kills it in the interior.
I think, in certain ways I think the Golf's better. I don't know if it's better overall, but I think the Golf's a nicer to cruise. It's
much better to cruise.
Whereas this is like, especially because of the fuel consumption this uses.
Not so like there is like the V8, the sound it makes, the power it makes, that is amazing.
Yeah.
It's just the package it comes in. Like if this was a Mercedes C63, it's the best freaking car because it's got that engine or a V8, but then it's also turboed, and then it looks the goods, and the inside nails it.
Yeah.
But that's a $200,000 car. So.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's our thoughts. That's where we think it is ranked. If you want to see more VE Commodore content, hit that subscribe button, comment below. What should we do with our VE Commodore? We're going to have it for a little bit before we sell it. If there's anything you'd like to see, let us know. But most importantly, we'll see you in the next Project B video.
Before we end this though.
Oh yeah.
Everyone who bought a shirt, thanks heaps. Your money's gone to a good cause. We bought a GoPro, which you might have seen
in the auction videos.
At the auctions, it was working great. We had some audio issues on the last video, but that's not the GoPro's fault. The GoPro was working great.
Yeah.
Now we're thinking,
Morgan.
Okay, I was thinking.
Decided, let's mount the GoPro on the back of the car.
I just wanted a good exhaust sound for everyone out there to really hear how good this sounds. I won't say it, we'll just put the clip of it doing
falling off and shattering the lens.
Yeah. I mean, the GoPro is still fun.
Yeah. So we'll leave you guys with, it was almost a tear from us. Thanks for watching, we'll see you in the next one.